g prime of x is going to be cosine. What do I put inside the middle here? What? Yeah, the same thing. I don't change anything, right? Sorry, it's tan of 5x cubed plus 4, right? But then what do I have to multiply by here? What goes right there? Don't say what it is, but like what action do I have to take on what thing? You have to do the derivative of that inside thing, right? So you're looking for the derivative of what? Tan of 5x cubed plus 4, correct? So you have the same thing right there. What's the derivative of tangent? No, it's secant squared. Secant squared of 5x cubed plus 4. But then what do you have to multiply by on the outside now? The derivative of what? 5x cubed plus 4, right? So you have the same thing again, but what's that derivative? What's the derivative of 5x cubed plus 4? 15x squared. So when you write this all out, what's the final answer going to be? I like keeping it in the same order because it's easier to track. You have cosine of tangent 5x cubed plus 4 times what? Yeah, I like keeping these in. Secant squared times 5x cubed plus 4, right? Times what? 15x cubed. Squared. Thank you, yeah. Does that make sense, everybody? So what rule did we really have to use twice here? We used the chain rule twice. Chain rule twice. Question, what do you have to use right here? If you're doing implicit differentiation, what rule did you have to use on the yellow part right there? What rule is that one? Do you have to use right here? You have to use the product rule. Why? Two functions. It's x and y. You treat them as two functions. So that derivative is right there. What's the derivative of x? 1. And the derivative of y is just dy dx. So then once you do the derivative, all of these steps right here are what? You're just, begins with an S, isolating what? What are you isolating? Yeah, dy dx, which is the same thing as y prime. Yeah, absolutely. That's all it is. And is it okay now? Is it okay to have y in your derivative? Yeah, because it's implicit now. You can have y in the derivative. You can have y in the derivative. Yes. Power is that. That's the fifth power. You're raising the whole thing to the fifth. So that's the same thing as what? Cosine of 2x all to the what power? Fifth. So the outer function is raising this thing to the fifth power. So what do you bring to the front first? 5. So y prime is going to be 5 times cosine of 2x all raised to the fourth power, but then you have to multiply by the derivative of what? Cosine of 2x. So you need to do the derivative of cosine of 2x. What's that going to be? What's the negative sine of 2x times the derivative of what? 2x. What's the derivative of 2x? 2. So the final answer to this is 5 cosine 2x all to the fourth times what? Negative sine of 2x times 2. Could you simplify that a little bit? Yes, but that shows me all the pieces. Many of you had like one of the pieces, two of the pieces, and I only think one of you had all three of the pieces. You have to be careful about it. So what rule did you have to use twice here? What rule did we use twice? We used the chain rule twice. You have to be super careful. Super, super careful. Yeah, so you have negative 2 times 12 minus x squared to the what power? And then you have to multiply by the derivative of 12 minus x squared. What's the derivative of 12 minus x squared? Yes, negative 2x. So you write the final answer, you could write it as negative 2 times 12 minus x squared to the negative 3 all times negative 2x. You could write it that way. You can simplify it a little bit, but you just need all the pieces there. How's that sit with y'all? Is that pretty good?